That persistent knot in your shoulders, that tight feeling in your stomach before a difficult conversation, that tension headache that arrives like an unwelcome guest. What if these are not random aches and pains? What if they are highly specific, coded messages from the wisest part of you? Today, we learn how to become a code breaker for your own body. You have been taught to treat your body's symptoms as an inconvenience, something to be silenced with a pill or pushed through with sheer will. But here is a profound truth, central to all deep shadow work. Your physical pain is often a profound act of loyalty. It is your body screaming a truth that your mind is too polite or too afraid to acknowledge. Your mind is a master of rationalization. It can say, "I'm fine," while your entire nervous system is in a state of red alert. But your body cannot lie. It is the keeper of the unspoken truth, the vault where your exiled emotions are stored. This conversation is not about fixing your body. It is about learning to listen to it. We will create a simple somatic dictionary to translate its messages, to understand what your tension, your aches, and your burnout are really trying to tell you. Because this is where the journey to wholeness goes deeper than the mind. It goes into your bones. There is a part of you that cannot lie. Your conscious mind is a master of deception, a brilliant public relations agent for your ego. It can justify, it can rationalize, it can spin any story to maintain the illusion of control. It can look at a situation of profound disrespect and say, "It's not a big deal, I'm fine." But there is a part of you that cannot be deceived. A part of you that keeps a raw, honest, biological record of your actual experience. Your body. You can think of your body as the physical manifestation of your personal unconscious. The living library where your life story is written not in words, but in tissue. The emotions you exile into your shadow, the ones your conscious mind is too afraid to feel, they don't just vanish into an abstract idea. They go somewhere. They are stored, they are held in your cells, in your muscle fibers, in the knots in your shoulders, the tightness in your gut, the clench in your jaw. Your body is the physical archive of your unspoken truth. It is where your shadow work becomes tangible, where your psyche becomes flesh. Let's watch this happen in real time. Let's return to Chloe, our nurse, in the middle of a stressful shift. A doctor questions her judgment in a condescending tone in front of a patient's family. It is humiliating. It is unjust. Now watch the two stories that unfold simultaneously. The first story is the one her mind tells. Her good nurse persona immediately takes over. Her conscious thoughts are, "Stay professional, don't make a scene, it's a stressful environment, he's just under pressure, it's fine, I'm fine." This is the story of her mind, a story of control and appeasement. But the second story is the one her body tells. And this story is the truth. In the instant the doctor's words hit her, a cascade of somatic events occurs. Her stomach clenches, a visceral response to the perceived threat and injustice. Her breath becomes shallow, her body bracing for impact. Her shoulders subtly rise up towards her ears, an ancient protective reflex. And her jaw tightens as her body physically suppresses the torrent of furious, truthful words she longs to say. Her mind is telling a story of professionalism.
Her body is telling a story of being under attack. And every time these two stories diverge, every time your mind says one thing and your body says another, you create a split, a dissonance that burns your precious psychic energy. This is the root of the exhaustion. It is the biological cost of living an inauthentic life. So if your body is so wise, so honest, why did you stop listening to it? Why did we become so profoundly numb? It is not a personal failure. It is a tragic consequence of our conditioning and our survival. First, we live in a culture that worships the mind, a culture that treats the body like an inconvenient machine, an animal to be tamed, disciplined, and controlled. We are taught from a young age to push through the pain, to ignore our fatigue, to override our body's signals in the name of productivity and achievement. We are conditioned to see our body not as a wise partner, but as a lazy employee that needs to be managed. But there is a deeper, more personal reason. For many of us, especially those who grew up in chaotic or emotionally unsafe environments, becoming numb was a brilliant survival strategy. When you are a small child and the emotional atmosphere around you is frightening, to be fully in your body is to be in a constant state of terror. To feel the knot of fear in your stomach, the racing of your own heart, it is simply too much to bear. And so the brilliant child mind figures out a solution. It learns to disconnect. It learns to float up into the attic of the head, a place of thoughts and analysis, and to leave the terrifying basement of the body behind. This disconnection is not a flaw. It was a life raft. It kept you from drowning. But here is the great tragedy. That brilliant survival strategy of the child is now the prison of the adult. The numbness that once protected you is now preventing you from accessing your own deepest wisdom. The disconnection that once kept you safe is now the source of your chronic pain and your burnout. You are living in a house where you have sealed off the basement for so long, you have forgotten it even exists. But the messages from that basement, they are still trying to get through. They are seeping up through the floorboards as aches, as tension, as illness, as fatigue. But what if you could unseal that door? Not with force, but with gentle curiosity. What if your body could become fluent in this ancient, honest language of your own body? What if your body's symptoms were not random, but a highly specific dictionary, a glossary of your soul's unmet needs? They are. And this is the work of somatic decoding. Let's open the first page of this somatic dictionary and begin the work of translation.
So, let's open this dictionary. Let's look at the most common somatic messages of burnout and translate them back into the language of the soul. This is where the concepts of our previous conversations become startlingly physical. The first, and perhaps most universal symptom for the people pleaser is chronic neck and shoulder tension. That persistent burning knot, that feeling of carrying a heavy weight. The translation for this is the weight of responsibility. This is the direct, physical price of the good person persona. You are, quite literally, shouldering the emotional weight of everyone around you. You carry the burden of being the capable one, the one who holds it all together, the one who never drops the ball. Your muscles are physically holding the tension of every unspoken no.
Every time you take on a task that isn't yours, you add another small stone to the invisible backpack you carry. Over the years, that backpack has become filled with boulders. The chronic pain in your neck and shoulders is your muscular system screaming, "I cannot carry this anymore. Please, let me put this down." Let's look at Chloe, our nurse. She spends her days physically and emotionally lifting others. She takes on extra shifts. She mentors new nurses. She absorbs the anxieties of her patients. Her persona is that of the unshakable caregiver. Every evening, she comes home with a deep, aching pain between her shoulder blades. She stretches. She uses a heating pad. She thinks it's just part of the job. But it is not the job. It is the energetic cost of her persona. It is the physical manifestation of all the responsibility she has accepted that was never hers to carry. Her shoulders are keeping the score. The second somatic message is often felt in your core. Stomach and gut issues. That churning, acidic feeling, the knots, the indigestion. The translation for this is swallowed emotions. Your digestive system is designed to break down and process what you take in from the world. This is true for food, and it is true for emotions. When you are in a situation where you feel anger or fear or profound disagreement, but your persona forbids you from expressing it, you swallow it. You literally push that raw, energetic charge down into your gut. Your stomach, in its wisdom, is then forced to try and digest an unprocessed emotion, and it cannot. That knot in your stomach before a difficult conversation is your gut telling you, there is a truth here that needs to be spoken, not swallowed. The indigestion you feel after a tense family dinner is your body's way of saying, I cannot process this unspoken conflict. Your gut is asking you, with every painful churn, what am I being forced to hold that should have been expressed? The third message often lives in your head. Tension headaches and jaw clenching. That relentless vice-like pressure at the base of your skull, the ache behind your eyes, the sore jaw you wake up with in the morning. The translation for this is the pressure of overthinking and unspoken words. This is the physical symptom of the emotional meteorologist we spoke of. Your mind is constantly running, analyzing, predicting, and trying to control the emotional atmosphere around you. That relentless mental activity creates a profound tension that gets stored in the muscles of your scalp, your face, and your neck. The headache is the fatigue of a brain that never gets to rest. And your jaw is the silent battlefield. It is the place where your powerful, assertive no meets the iron will of your good person persona. And in that clash, your jaw clenches. It is physically holding back the words. It is the muscular effort of keeping your truth on a leash. That ache in your jaw is the ghost of 1,000 unspoken boundaries. And this leads us to the final, all-encompassing message, the one that is the title of this entire journey. Pervasive fatigue and heaviness. That bone-deep exhaustion that sleep cannot fix. The translation for this is the most profound of all. It is the biological cost of suppression. This is not just a feeling. It is a physiological state. When you spend your entire life using your energy to maintain a persona, to suppress your shadow, and to hold back your truth, You are sending a constant signal to your nervous system that you are in danger. You are living in a low-grade, chronic state of fight or flight. This state burns through your biological resources at an incredible rate. Your body, in its profound wisdom, eventually makes a choice. It says, "This system is unsustainable. We're heading for a complete collapse." And so it begins to intentionally shut you down. It creates a state of profound exhaustion to save you from yourself. It is a forced intervention. Your fatigue is your body's last-ditch, desperate, and deeply loving act to make you stop, to make you rest, to make you finally listen.
But if our bodies are so intelligent, so wise, and are constantly sending us these vital messages, why are we so deaf to them? Why did we become so profoundly disconnected from this innate wisdom? It is not a personal failure. It is a strategy. And it is crucial that we approach this with immense compassion for ourselves. The first reason we learn to numb ourselves is due to our cultural conditioning. We live in a society that glorifies the mind and treats the body as a subordinate, a machine that must perform, an animal that must be disciplined. Think of the language we use. We fight a cold. We battle fatigue. We push through the pain. This is the language of warfare, not partnership. We are taught from our earliest days to see our body's signals not as sacred information, but as an inconvenience to our productivity. So we learn to silence it. With caffeine, with sugar, with willpower. We learn to live exclusively from the neck up, in the attic of our thoughts, plans, and anxieties. But for many of us, especially those with a history of people-pleasing, there is a deeper, more personal reason. For many of us, the disconnection was a brilliant and necessary act of survival. If you grew up in an environment that was emotionally chaotic, unsafe, or unpredictable, to be fully present in your body was to be in a constant state of overwhelming sensation. To feel the knot of fear in your stomach as your parents argued. To feel the racing of your own heart when you sensed disapproval. It was simply too much for a child's nervous system to bear. And so the brilliant child mind devised a strategy. It learned to dissociate, to float, to disconnect from the terrifying sensations in the basement of the body, and to retreat to the relative safety of the mind. This numbness was not a flaw. It was a life raft. It kept you from drowning in a sea of overwhelming feeling. You should honor the part of you that learned to do this. It kept you alive. But here is the great, heartbreaking tragedy of all survival strategies. The strategy that saves the child often becomes the prison of the adult. The numbness that once protected you is now preventing you from accessing your own wisest counsel. The disconnection that was once a life raft is now left you stranded on a deserted island, unable to read the compass of your own body. You have been living in a house where the phone in the basement has been ringing off the hook for years, and you have trained yourself not to hear it. So how do we begin to pick up that phone? How do we start a conversation after a lifetime of silence? It does not begin with a grand gesture. You do not need to book an hour-long yoga class or a silent meditation retreat. That can feel overwhelming. It begins with 30 seconds. It begins with an act of radical, gentle attention. I want to offer you a practice so simple you can do it right now as you're listening to my voice.
It is the most foundational act of reconnecting with your body's wisdom. I call it the 30-second body check-in. It has 4 simple steps. The first step is to simply pause. Right now, stop whatever else you're doing. Take one slow, conscious breath, in through your nose and out through your mouth. That's it. You have already shifted from autopilot to presence. The second step is to scan. Close your eyes if that feels safe. And I want you to bring your awareness on a gentle tour of your body. From the top of your head down to the tips of your toes. You are not trying to fix anything. You are not judging anything. You are simply a curious, compassionate observer. You are a scientist of your own inner landscape. And as you scan, you are asking one simple question. Where is the place of greatest tension in my body right now? Perhaps it is your jaw. Perhaps it is your shoulders. Perhaps it is your chest or your stomach. Just notice, without judgment. The third step is to ask. Once you have located that place of primary tension, I want you to place your gentle, loving awareness right there, like placing a warm hand on a frightened animal. And you are going to silently, internally, ask it a very simple question. What is the one-word message you have for me right now? Do not try to think of the answer. The mind wants to jump in with complex stories. Ignore the mind. You are asking the body. Which brings us to the fourth and final step. Listen. Listen for the very first word that arises from that place of tension. Trust the first thing that comes, before the mind has a chance to edit it. The word might be rest. It might be breathe. It might be space. It might be no. It might be help. Whatever the word is, it is the truth. It is the first whispered message from the wise and loyal and long-ignored part of you. This simple 30-second practice is a revolutionary act of shadow work. It is the beginning of a new relationship. A relationship built not on control, but on conversation. Not on warfare, but on partnership. Not on numbness, but on profound embodied wisdom. You are beginning to unseal the door to the basement, and you are learning that the voice down there is not a monster. It is your wisest and most honest ally.
Today, we have begun a sacred translation. We have started to build a bridge between the conscious mind and the ancient nonverbal wisdom of the body. We have learned that your body is not a machine that breaks down. It is an intelligent messenger of your unconscious. It is the physical archive of your shadow, the place where your unspoken truths are held. We have learned that the numbness so many of us feel is not a weakness, but a brilliant, outdated survival strategy that once kept us safe. And we have opened the first page of the Somatic Dictionary. We have begun to decode the messages. That chronic tension in your shoulders is the physical weight of your good person persona. That knot in your stomach is the undigested grief and anger you have swallowed. That ache in your jaw is the ghost of 1,000 unspoken boundaries. And that deep, pervasive burnout is the biological consequence of a life lived out of alignment with your soul. It is your body's deeply loyal, final attempt to make you stop and listen. The most profound journey of shadow work is not an intellectual one. It is an embodied one. It is the slow, patient work of returning home to yourself, of inhabiting your own skin.
As the great Jungian analyst Marion Woodman wrote, "The longing for healing is the soul's longing to be embodied." Your soul wants to live here, in this body, not just in the attic of your mind. The practice we have learned today, the 30-second body check-in, is your first step on this journey home. It is a microdose of presence, a sacred pause. It is a way of saying to your body, after a lifetime of ignoring it, "I am here, I am listening now." This practice will change you, slowly, gently, profoundly. The more you listen to the whispers of your body, the less it will have to scream at you through pain and illness. You are moving from a relationship of conflict to one of collaboration. You are learning to trust the wisest, most honest, and most loyal ally you will ever have. But as you listen, as your body begins to whisper its needs, rest, breathe, space, whatever it was, a new and perhaps deeper question arises. Why did we learn to ignore these fundamental signals in the first place? What was so terrifying about our own needs that we chose numbness over life? Our body is constantly trying to protect us. But what is it protecting us from? The root of people-pleasing, the root of ignoring our body's wisdom, the root of the good person persona itself often lies in one single primal fear, a fear so deep, so ancient, it is wired into our very nervous system for survival. The fear that if we are not good, not helpful, not agreeable, if we have needs, we will be left. We will be abandoned. That is the great, tender, and foundational wound we must explore next. For this week, your invitation is not to fix, but to listen. Practice the 30-second body check-in. Once a day. That is all. To commit to this new relationship, to this sacred act of listening, I invite you to honor your body's first message. In the comments below, share the one-word message your body sent you. Rest, breathe, space, whatever it was. By sharing it, you make its wisdom real, and you join a community of others who are also learning to read the sacred language of their own being. Thank you for your courage. The conversation has just begun.